Welcome, everyone. Imagine if, due to an alien's experiment gone wrong, a girl transforms into a gigantic monster. Will our people accept her, or will the monster confront the alien and send it far away from Earth? Today, we will witness the story of these extraordinary monsters and aliens. The movie begins by showing a planet that has been severely destroyed, with some of its particles heading towards Earth. Meanwhile, a group of scientists discovers the arrival of these particles, which are passing through California City. Filled with fear, they inform their headquarters. The scene then shifts to California, where we meet a girl named Susan who is watching TV. She is about to get married the next day, and her fiancé is a news anchor. Susan is thrilled about her upcoming marriage and the honeymoon in Paris. Suddenly, her fiancé tells her to get ready quickly and come to the church. At that moment, Susan notices the broken particles moving towards her. She runs as fast as she can, but unfortunately, the large particle falls directly on her. Although she survives, Susan is completely stunned. Her mother takes her inside. At this same time, the Secret Service people who came for the particles have stopped their car. During the wedding ceremony, Susan's husband notices a strange green light emanating from her body. Before anyone can comprehend what is happening, Susan's size dramatically increases, causing her to break the church and escape. Tragically, her husband is buried under the debris. Susan, in her giant form, rescues him by picking him up like a small doll. However, the secret agency personnel who were investigating the particles started attacking Susan, causing her to lose consciousness. Following this, the scene changes, Susan awakens, and she discovers herself in a mysterious room. There were 4 other monsters in this hidden lab who were brought here just like her. Among them was Dr. Cockroach, a scientist who had transformed himself into a hybrid of a human and a cockroach through his own experiment. Additionally, there was a slime monster, a fish-like creature, and an insect-like monster. Suddenly, a general arrives, informing Susan that she must remain here as only creatures of this kind were housed here, posing a threat to humans. Despite Susan's repeated assurances that she is not a danger to humans, the general refuses to listen. The scene then shifts to a devastated planet where an alien is in pursuit of the same special Metroid that Susan had encountered. To obtain it, he arrives on Earth without hesitation, piloting a massive robot. Upon his arrival, chaos ensues. The U.S. Army surrounds him, and initially, the president attempts to communicate with the alien, hoping for a peaceful resolution. However, the alien is enraged. Before he can unleash havoc, the president hastily retreats, and the army begins to attack. It becomes evident that their weapons are ineffective against the colossal robot. The looming threat of the robot destroying Earth creates a sense of urgency, prompting an emergency meeting to devise a plan to save the planet from this powerful robot. Everyone was trying to figure out how to destroy the robot. Then, the general arrived and shared some shocking news about powerful monsters created in a secret lab. These monsters were capable of battling huge aliens and their robots to save the Earth from destruction. The general introduced each monster to the people sitting there. The first one was Dr. Cockroach, who used to be a scientist, but turned into a cockroach due to a failed experiment. However, he still possessed incredible powers. Insecto, a small insect, transformed into a massive monster after being exposed to a nuclear reaction. There was also a fish-like creature that had been frozen for over a century. Everyone was familiar with Susan's story from the beginning. Everyone loved the general's idea. Now, these 5 monsters had to leave the secret lab for the first time to fight the alien. Let's take a look inside the lab, where Dr. Cockroach was conducting strange experiments on Susan, hoping to restore her to her former self. Susan desperately wanted to return home, but all of Dr. Cockroach's experiments had failed. Susan began to lose hope of ever reuniting with her family. Suddenly, a journalist arrived and informed them that an alien had attacked Earth with a gigantic robot. They were asked to fight against the alien. If they succeeded, they would be free from their confinement forever. They agreed and prepared themselves to battle the robot. Once everyone stood before the colossal robot, fear gripped their hearts as they realized just how small they were compared to this extraterrestrial machine. In a panic, Susan bolted away from the scene, desperately trying to escape its clutches. Meanwhile, the other monsters rallied together, preparing to confront the robot head-on. However, to their surprise, the robot disregarded their presence and focused solely on pursuing Susan. She sprinted frantically, seeking refuge behind a nearby building, but the relentless robot demolished the structure without hesitation. After managing to save herself, Susan ingeniously utilized cars as makeshift skateboards to reach a nearby bridge. Confused and unsure of what robot wanted from Susan found herself cornered when the robot caught up to her. In a desperate plea for help, she called out to her friends. Brave Cockroach bravely infiltrated the robot, disabling its virus and causing significant damage to its systems. Meanwhile, one of the monsters cleared a path for the people on the bridge. Finally, using their collective intelligence, they devised a plan to trap the robot on the bridge. With their combined efforts, they successfully maneuvered the robot into a position where it plummeted into the water below. As a result, a section of the bridge collapsed, severing the robot in half. After the robot's demise, their mission was accomplished, and the secret agency set them free. However, the tension didn't dissipate. It turned out that the alien wasn't inside the robot, but rather controlling it as if it were his own planet. He grew angrier when the robot broke. His goal was to extract the same power from Susan that originated from the collision with the Metroid. Now, he planned to come to Earth himself for this task. Susan reunited with her parents, feeling immense joy after a long time apart. Her parents even threw a party for the monsters. Meanwhile, Susan approached her husband, expressing her newfound freedom and desire to marry. However, he declined, citing their incompatibility and the vast differences between them in today's world. Susan left, heartbroken. Her monster friends consoled her, reminding her that no matter how many cities or countries they saved, people would always view them as monsters and keep them separate. During their conversation, a beam of light suddenly appeared from above, pulling Susan towards it. It was none other than the alien who had previously attempted to kidnap her. This time, Susan couldn't escape, and when she opened her eyes, she found herself inside the alien spaceship. Her clothes had changed, and she was surrounded by numerous robots. Susan discovered she was trapped in a cage, and the alien approached her, claiming sole ownership of the power she possessed, as it belonged to his planet. He had destroyed his own planet to obtain it. The alien transported her to a chamber where her powers would be stripped away. However, Susan effortlessly escapes from the cage. Yet, the alien swiftly captures her once again. Now, the alien brings her to a different chamber where all her powers are removed, causing Susan to revert back to her original size. The evil alien then taunts Susan, revealing his plans to use his newfound power to create a new world on Earth, where he alone will reign. He has already sent a message to Earth, warning of its impending destruction, with only those who survive becoming his slaves. To ensure his dominance, he creates numerous alien clones. The people are now filled with fear. In one scene, insects are shown transforming into cocoons, while the others are saddened by the sight as they desperately need the insects at this time. The general's hopes rest on these monsters, hoping that they can destroy the alien's ship, eliminate the alien, and save both the people and the Earth. The monsters agree to this task, as they have a common goal of freeing Susan from the clutches of the alien. Now, with the jetpacks provided by the general, the monsters finally reach the alien ship. However, upon landing, they notice that the ship has suffered some minor damage. Undeterred, they bravely make their way inside. To their horror, they discover an alien about to harm Susan. Thinking quickly, they assume the role of aliens themselves and rush to her rescue. They not only disarm the alien, but also manage to free Susan from his clutches. Unfortunately, their heroic actions do not go unnoticed by the big alien, who quickly becomes aware of their presence. Meanwhile, Dr. Cockroach suggests that in order to stop the ship, they must locate and destroy its chamber. However, the big alien, having overheard their plan, commands his clone aliens to eliminate them. Despite facing numerous clones, the three monsters manage to escape and eventually reach the chamber. They activate the self-destruct sequence, causing the ship to implode. Realizing that his chances of victory are now slim, the big alien hastily prepares an escape pod, intending to take all the power he had drained from Susan with him. Unbeknownst to him, the monsters had also planned their escape before the ship's destruction. Unfortunately, without Susan, they find themselves trapped inside the ship. It seems that their fate is sealed. However, Susan refuses to let her companions perish. Against all odds, they urge her to flee and save herself. But Susan, devising a plan to rescue them, returns to the same chamber of the ship wearing a pair of flying shoes. This is where the ship was being controlled. Upon arrival, she witnesses the alien attempting to flee through the escape port. She swiftly immobilizes it and manages to retrieve her gun amidst the chaos. At this point, Susan had the opportunity to eliminate the alien with a single shot. However, she decides against it and instead aims her gun at the powerful container. As a result, the container shatters and collapses onto Susan. Consequently, she transforms into an immensely powerful monster once again. Meanwhile, her monster companions are on the verge of perishing beneath a colossal machine. Susan rushes to their aid, rescues them, and leads them out of the ship. Unfortunately, they are unfamiliar with flying and are on the brink of plummeting. Just then, the general brings forth the transformed monster, resembling a butterfly. As soon as they distance themselves from the alien ship, the ship itself is obliterated. Consequently, the monsters successfully safeguard Earth from all forms of destruction. The people of Earth warmly embrace these monsters and Susan as heroes. They shower them with immense love and appreciation. During this time, Susan's ex-boyfriend approaches her and proposes the idea of reconciling if she grants him an interview. However, Susan is no longer willing to entertain his pleas. In front of everyone, she lifts him up and forcefully removes him from the scene. Now, we see that all the monsters have formed a team and work together to save Earth from problems. The general informs them that a monster has attacked Paris and they need to go on a mission to stop it. Everyone happily accepts this responsibility, including Susan, who gets to fulfill her dream of visiting Paris. They all sit on the monster like a butterfly and set off for their new mission. And that's how the story ends. So, tell me, how did you all like this movie? Let's meet again in the next movie. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing to our channel.